All right, we're live. So welcome back to DApp University. So today we're going to look at the crypto markets and analyze whether, the bottom is in for this dip or if there's more pain ahead. We talked about this yesterday. A lot of people are kind of wondering about this, like, well, hey, what's going to happen next? We're going to talk about that, look at the crypto markets. We're going to talk about a lot of other stuff that's going on with technology right now. Some ways for you to earn millions of dollars as a developer overnight. So no jokes aside, I'm going to talk about that here later in this video. And then also a lot more. All right, so before we get into that, if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. It really helps these videos out. And subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to become a blockchain master step by step, start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so we got people jumping in the chat here. We got Nardia, Element, CK, Atrox, Nate, Half the Calories, Tutang, Daniel. Awesome. Welcome. So let's go ahead and jump into the first thing that I'm sure everybody's wondering about today, which is the crypto markets. We talked about this yesterday, how we saw this kind of blow up happen over the weekend. Let me share my screen here. So this blow up happened over the weekend, and it's got people freaked out. Monday mornings, I talk about this really common pattern over the weekend where people start trading on leverage. We had to it was kind of the perfect setup. We had the Coinbase IPO last week, or not IPO, the direct listing. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. People kind of say that interchangeably. But we had the Coinbase direct listing last week. There's a lot of exuberance around that. I was sitting back kind of saying like, hey, is this going to be a big catalyst for the crypto markets? Got to be careful. It could be a good thing in the short term, bad thing in the long term. And then we had this perfect leverage bubble happen over the weekend that kind of blew up. Everybody freaked out on Monday morning, and we're seeing more pain. So we got some relief from that, right? You look at the charts here, like Ethereum, Bitcoin, et cetera, some of the more volatile assets down the curve. We saw this dump, and we started to see some relief, and then it didn't quite take off. All right, and we're seeing some more chop. So I've seen a lot of people talk about this breaking moving averages. Again, I'm not a big trader, not a big TA guy. I'm not going to draw a bunch of stuff on the chart here and try to explain it. But you can go check out lots of other channels that are talking about this, but especially in the Bitcoin price, like, it looks pretty bearish, to tell you the truth. So, as always, I don't know exactly what's going to happen next. I would be prepared for potentially some more pain here. So who knows how long it's going to last? The big question on a lot of people's minds is the bull run over? We're going to see another multi-year bear market after something like this. I still think it's unlikely for all the reasons I talked about yesterday and many days before when we see these types of dips. There's a lot of bullish catalysts for this market long term. We'll talk about some of those here in a minute. This doesn't look like a big euphoric blow off top. You know what I mean? There's lots of reasons why I think there's still more room for this, okay? But some of those assumptions can be wrong, all right? We always have to think about the downside. What would I be looking at? So if we start, moving below this right here on the Bitcoin price, that's when I would start to really kind of start to question, like, hey, maybe we should start rethinking our outlook here. So we'll see if that happens, okay? This is about $45,000. We're at $55,000 right now. Some people would be even more bullish than that. I would say, hey, we'll see if we break down farther than here. But I'm gonna look at this particular point of resistance and see if we even get close to testing something like that. If we do, that may be the time to start asking, like, hey, should we start thinking a little bit differently about this market? So we'll wait and see what happens. Of course, I will update you every single day when these live streams Monday through Friday, if that happens. Look at a similar type of thing on ETH, right? So leading into the Coinbase IPO, before that, even I was talking on this channel, like, hey, I think ETH's probably going to have some kind of big move up next. Again, I'm not big on price predictions about trying to say, hey, it's going to be X price by X date, but I've watched ETH for a long time. I kind of understand how it trades. It gets boring for a while, and then we see these kind of explosive moves. And of course, what can go up can also come down. So we saw it here. The explosive move kind of happened about where I was thinking it was. Explosive on the relative, in relative terms, right? We went basically from about $2,000 up to about $2,600, pretty close to it, pretty fast. And now we got down pretty close. We got this wick about $2,000 again, which had some people kind of worried. So, it's hard to say what's going to happen for sure, but I would be prepared for some short-term pain, some prolonged short-term pain. I'd say be prepared for it. That's key, because we don't know if we'll actually get it. Okay, we could just keep roaring higher at this point, but I would be cautious for sure. And I would start being even more cautious and maybe even rethinking our bigger outlook if we start getting into this territory. All right. So is the bull market over? We have to think about it in likelihood. I think it's still unlikely at this point, but I'm prepared to change my strategy based on more information that comes in, especially with price data. Kind of keeping an eye on this the next couple days. Remember I talked about my video yesterday, if you didn't watch it, talking about panic. Like, what do you do? Like trying to make decisions when you're panicked is usually a bad thing. Somebody commented on the video right after I posted it, and they said, like, hey, funny, I just lost $2 million, like, not making a decision while I was panicked. Oh, that's pretty clever. But I think the whole point is, like, trying to zoom out and basically it's hard to not panic, right? But trying to reduce the panic when you actually make decisions, that's a really important thing. So even if that means taking a 30-second break, that's part of what I was trying to say yesterday in the video. Some people didn't quite understand that, so I've kind of re-articulated here. Okay, so let's move on here. So let's talk about some good news. All right, so that's kind of the bad news, is we may be in some short-term pain. All right. Although it's not financial advice, I'm not telling you to buy this dip, trying to kind of keep an eye on this and see what happens next. Nobody knows for sure. But let's talk about some good news. All right. So one of the cool things I saw yesterday is Time Magazine. Okay. So we talked about Time in our live streams, recently, about how Time, was talking about actually keeping some of the cryptocurrency that it receives on its balance sheet. So we've seen this pattern with like Tesla and others. So, of course, Tesla is a huge deal for the cryptocurrency markets early this year. We've seen, institutional adoption of cryptocurrency has been a major theme of this bull run. Basically, in order for cryptocurrency prices to go up, institutions can buy cryptocurrency in size more than retail investors can. Like you and I can. They can buy billions of dollars of cryptocurrency in one go, basically. That's what Tesla did. Essentially, about $1.5 billion of Bitcoin for their balance sheet. Tesla also said that they were going to allow you to purchase Teslas with Bitcoin. And when they did that, they were going to actually keep the Bitcoin they receive. So you buy Bitcoin, they hold the Bitcoin, they just keep it. They don't actually turn it into fiat money. So that's huge. We're starting to see that pattern play out in other places too. And one of those is Time Magazine. Okay. So I'm going to show this on my screen here. So Time Magazine partners with Crypto.com to offer cryptocurrency as a form of payment for digital subscriptions. Okay. So you can go check this out. There's, there's not a whole lot more to the article than that. That's kind of the whole point. But this is the whole thing. We saw news about Time earlier, how they've said they were going to start taking cryptocurrency and keeping it, all right, and not like exchanging for fiat currency. We talked about this in the live streams. I think it was a couple weeks ago. So now we've seen the news come out that they're actually partnering with Crypto.com to offer cryptocurrency as a form of payment. Okay. So Crypto.com has been a pretty big player in the space. We saw recently that, Visa started their pilot project or experiment, whatever you want to call it. I try to be really clear about the Visa news here. So Visa was basically doing a project with Crypto.com to start settling payments in USDC on the Ethereum blockchain. Okay. So basically, the whole idea is that they would use blockchain infrastructure to actually handle payments, which is different from how many payment processors work. So a lot of times people pay with crypto. Like I was saying here, is basically if you had a credit card that lets you spend crypto, you would hold crypto, you'd swipe a credit card, and then they would basically sell your crypto for dollars, and then under the hood, those dollars would get transferred, and then they get converted back to crypto on the other side. But Visa's partnership with Crypto.com was actually settling the payments under the hood with USDC on top of the Ethereum blockchain. So it's using blockchain infrastructure instead of the old payment rails, which is huge because that's kind of the vision for Ethereum is to replace a lot of the old financial rails that we have, and they're actually doing that. So the whole point I'm trying to make here is that Crypto.com has become a big player in the space for partnering with other people outside the space, bringing them in, getting them to use crypto and really furthering adoption. So that's really cool to see, kind of just connecting the dots here. Crypto.com is working with Time. They're working with Visa, right? They're working with lots of other outside players to, help further the advancement of blockchain technology, which is awesome. So that's a pretty big bullish thing, on the horizon for sure. We're seeing more adoption of cryptocurrency just its usefulness, because that's big. Whenever people can do more with cryptocurrency, it actually enhances the value proposition of it, right? So part of it is thinking about cryptocurrency is more useful when you exit the system and can actually do stuff with it. Okay, the more you can do with it, the more valuable it is. Because think about it right now. If you buy, Bitcoin and you like just put it in your wallet, you leave an exchange, you're never going back. Well, still, if you're going to use it in the real world, many times you have to like actually go back to an exchange, sell it, and then cash it out. But the more you can do with your Bitcoin once it's off an exchange, like the more valuable it is, and the more reasons you would have to actually make that move and use cryptocurrency in the first place. So the same is true for ETH and other Ethereum-based assets on DeFi. If you can get into a DeFi ecosystem and then use that money to pay your rent, you buy your groceries, put gas in your car, maybe get an electric car. The whole point is, the more useful it is, the more valuable greater value proposition that cryptocurrency has, which I think can actually accrue to that value can accrue to the price of the asset itself, just by simple supply and demand economics. The more people want to use it, the greater the price, assuming it has a scarce supply or a predictably low issuance. So that's huge. All right, so another thing I check on is the Doge situation. So we talk about Dogecoin a lot, recently, because it's been stealing everybody's thunder. I talked to you yesterday. Well, let's just pull this up on the screen here. This is pretty funny. Talked about Doge with Snickers. Okay, so Snickers is talking about Doge Day for Doge 420. This is the meme that's kind of floating around, Doge on 420. Today is April 20th, so it's 420. So it's the holiday everybody likes to joke about. Try to keep it, semi-family friendly on this channel. So yeah, I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. But anyways, yeah. So this is clever. It's crazy that we're seeing acknowledgement of this like Snickers, but it's hard to like not acknowledge what's happening with Doge here. I think this surprised a lot of people that Doge is sitting at number 5. I put this tweet out yesterday. I was talking about like, hey, Doge has basically flipped like every single ETH killer, well, all but one. And it's basically outperformed like every sophisticated crypto investor by a large margin. So it's so funny. Somebody else was talking about it. It's like, I mean, you spent all this time like trying to get good at trading crypto or investing in crypto, picking the right projects, hedging risk, all this kind of stuff. And then basically your buddy who came on the scene in January could have bought Doge, like just YOLO'd into Doge, bought a huge, stack of Doge and totally outperformed you and everybody else in the crypto markets because it's gone up so much. So it's absolutely crazy. Not financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy Doge based on the information at all. It's probably a ton of risk in buying Doge right now, to tell you the truth. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, so let's talk more about some bullish stuff on the horizon for ETH in particular. So part of it is we're seeing a little bit of FUD about this. All right, so it's not really that big a FUD, but EIP 1559 for sure. So an update on this. I saw this floating around on Twitter, so I figured I'd bring it up. Of course, if y'all been watching this channel, you know the answers to this already. So they're kind of enticing clicks with this headline, all this kind of stuff. That's just sort of how the internet works. But this article here, talking about EIP 1559. We're gonna talk about that, what that means in a minute if you don't know, if you're brand new around here. But saying the upgrade will not be the long-term solution that Ethereum needs to resolve its scalability problems. So what it promises. So if you've been watching this channel, you've been watching these live streams, watch me explain this stuff, you'd know that, right? That's one of the reasons I do these videos, more people can understand this stuff, help you discern what's going on in the crypto space. So basically, they're talking about this. What is the EIP 1559 fork? So if you don't know what it is, basically it means in probably about July, we're going to have a big upgrade happen to the Ethereum network that's going to change a lot of stuff. But the main thing that people talk about is Ethereum's fees. So it's going to split the transaction fees into 2 parts, the base fee and the miner tip. Part of the miner tip can get burnt. All right, it's like a network fee. Basically, if you hold ETH, it helps you because it can help reduce the issuance of ETH supply and basically make it It's kind of a complicated explanation, but if it happens enough, then over a long period of time, ETH could be a deflationary asset. Now we'll see if that happens, but that's one thing people are at least excited about. All right, so basically the whole idea is whenever you do anything on the Ethereum network, if I send you ETH, then you pay a transaction fee. If you trade a token on Uniswap, you pay a transaction fee. Okay, so part of that transaction fee can get burnt. So they're talking about here like trying to clear up a big rumor that EIP 1559 is going to fix ETH gas fee problem. And they're talking about like, oh, that's not going to happen, and they say, well, what's the actual solution? What's layer 2 scaling solutions? So if you've been watching these live streams, like I said, you would understand this, all right? But I want to reiterate it because this is a common misconception. The layer 2 scaling solutions, when you build a second layer on top of Ethereum that offloads some of the computational resources or a computational load and lets you do a lot of the activity on there, and the final result is settle on the main Ethereum chain. Okay, so I'm going back to my prediction that will be widely adopted in 2021. I think summer is going to be the time where we see a lot of that stuff really come. We're going to see a lot of that stuff really come out and start that process of wide adoption. Okay, we got the Uniswap launch happening in May. Supposed to launch on Optimism very shortly after. So that's going to be huge. We're seeing other layer 2 scaling solutions hit the mainnet shortly after as well. It's going to be a really exciting time. So that's a really big bullish thing on the horizon for ETH. And going back to what we were talking about markets a minute ago, like if we enter into some crazy bear market, like we're going to be doing some crazy stuff on top of the Ethereum network at that point. And it's hard for people to be bearish. I mean, I know that like technological advancements, no guarantee of cryptocurrency prices going up. I totally get that. But there does seem to be some correlation, at least, right? We saw the DeFi stuff that happened last year. That was, at the beginning of a major bull market that we're in right now. Some people say it's total coincidence, like it's just correlation, it's not causation. I get that you can't necessarily draw a causative link, but it's gonna be pretty. All I'm saying is it's gonna be pretty crazy if we're in a bear trend downward, and then ETH is shipping ETH 2.0. We got staking going live. We got layer 2s. People are trading tokens like lightning speed on Uniswap. Yeah, think about it. Part of the sorry, I'm pulling up something right now. Part of the reason that cryptocurrency prices go up in the first place is about hype. Okay, new technology creates hype. I mean, cryptocurrency markets, at the end of the day, they kind of trade on emotion. You know what I mean? And hype is an emotion, all right? So basically, like we talk about the Gartner hype cycle on here. So peak of inflated expectations, trough of disillusionment, plateau of productivity. So if we ship like really fast, scalable dApps, and people are trading and doing DeFi for cheap prices at lightning speed, and we're in a bear market, like it's gonna be crazy. And if it is, like that's more reason to lean in all the more. So we'll see what happens there. But so another thing I talked about this at the beginning of the stream is if you're watching this channel and you want to make a few $1 million, well, here's your chance. So Balancer Labs is having a bug bounty. Okay, so this will be for developers for sure. But what's a bug bounty? Basically, a bug bounty is an invitation for you to come find a problem with somebody's code. And bug bounties are big for smart contracts because smart contracts are securing lots of money on the Ethereum network. Okay, so basically, smart contracts are just code that are deployed to the blockchain. They power a lot of the DeFi applications out there like Uniswap. Balancer here, which is also a decentralized cryptocurrency exchange. It's holding user funds inside of it. Okay. It's got lots of money, lots and lots and lots of money. And so, these contracts are, of course, heavily audited before they go to the main network. But at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know. All right. And we've seen, a slew of DeFi hacks happen over the past few years, okay, as this technology's really started to take off. And part of an incentive to improve the code is to give out bounties or rewards for people who find problems with the smart contracts. Now, it's unlikely, I'll put this out there, it's unlikely that there is a mission critical vulnerability with these smart contracts that, it's kind of unlikely. But if it's out there, they want to know about it ASAP. And so they put these rewards for hackers to come out and basically try to expose the bounties, or sorry, to expose the vulnerabilities and let them know about it so they can fix them, and they'll incentivize you to do a huge amount of money. Okay, so we're talking about a critical bug. So severe, if you can find a critical bug, they'll pay you 1,000 Ether or $2 million. Okay. So what is an example of a critical bug? So draining significant funds from the vault, permanently locking significant funds in the vault. So this is one of those things where it's like, it's big enough, that it's sort of like buying a lottery ticket. If you sit down and spend a little bit of time with this, if you're a developer, it's like a risk-reward scenario. Like, you're probably not going to find anything, but if you did sit down and find something for a little bit of time, like, would you risk a small amount of your time with the potential of, making like $2 million basically overnight? So this is one of the things where it's like, hey, I might sit down with my team and actually like try to spend a little bit of time looking into this, just because, hey, I mean, who doesn't want to spend a relatively small amount of time and potentially make that amount of money? So, of course, you say, well, then why would you talk about it on YouTube Live, all this kind of stuff? Because I've seen it on social media. Everybody knows about it by now. But at the end of the day, it's also good for the community. If we can find this stuff, we can find these vulnerabilities for actual black hat hackers do. Then that's a better thing for the community in the long run. So let's see here. We got some questions in the chat. Somebody says bug bounties are advanced. Yes, they are advanced. So if you're like a brand new coder, you're probably not going to sit down with the balancer contracts and just find a critical vulnerability. You take some advanced, sophisticated thinking in order to do that. That being said, you might be a genius. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to sit here and totally rule you out. Sometimes, honestly, though, sometimes people who think differently than people with training can see things that people who are trained don't see, because you're not thinking like advanced people. So that's not a guarantee, right? That's not a guarantee that you're just going to have beginner's luck, but you might kind of have beginner's luck in a case like this. So I'm not saying like cancel your calendar for the next month and sit down and bang your head against a wall trying to find a vulnerability in a contract. But I also don't want to say, hey, just because you're a beginner, it doesn't mean you shouldn't try. Might get you interested in the technology more, That could be that goes what I'm saying is there could be a benefit to you beyond, even if you don't reach this goal. It's sort of like you can still learn something from it that could benefit you over the long term. Like the knowledge that you acquire and the experience might be valuable. That's an important thing to understand about failure is like failure is not bad. Like it's good to fail because you learn. All right, let's see here. Somebody says ETH is whack AF. MetaMask, I deposited 1K, can't even move it anything without 400 of my 1K getting taken from fees. And I add more, sorry, the chat moving on me. And I add more from my Visa, the fees are going higher. It really is BS. So yeah, I mean, layer 2 scaling solutions, problem solved. Not solved, problem made a lot better, put it that way. Combination of layer 2's EIP 1559, ETH2, all that kind of stuff, getting refined over time, migrating to the best long-term scaling solution. A lot of that stuff's going to help. Somebody says the market will fall till the 22nd level out and recover. Source astrology. That's awesome. So let's see here. Somebody said ETH will be good given all the functionality come out between now and July. Yeah, I think so. Somebody says if we're heading into a bearish market for several years, is it going to affect stablecoins and how? So I'll reiterate my position on this. I think it's still unlikely that we're about to head into a multi-year bear market. I'll be very clear on that in this video. But I don't really see it having a really strong impact on stablecoins. Now, of course, for the algorithmic stablecoins, the ones that are like crypto-backed, I mean, if we see like a major flash crash, that could have some impact there. But um, yeah, I think we'll be fine. So, any thoughts on privacy on the blockchain? So, there's lots of different ways to achieve this. We're seeing different chains, attempt this, trying to, be privacy coins. We've seen like Tornado Cash. That was a privacy solution built on top of Ethereum. I actually know the guys who built that project. Yeah, I think they're huge. I think they're solve a really important problem, and I hope we integrate that. Because privacy would be a big deal if you're going to do something like voting on chain. Somebody says Safe Moon, it's the best. So people made a lot of money with Safe Moon. Safe Moon and Doge, it's pretty crazy how much people have made off that stuff. Not gonna lie, I'm a little jealous sometimes, but hey, you can't win them all, you know? Somebody says I'm a university student studying computer science. I'm very interested in blockchain dev as my career, but I'm wondering, should I wait for the tech to mature before going in? Um, so it's really tricky because I don't want to be very careful about giving people life advice really specifically. I'm not saying like drop out of college. All these are sort of your decisions, but I'll tell you what I would personally do. Okay. So right now, if I was just thinking about learning blockchain and specializing in that, I would not personally wait. Okay, I think there's a massive opportunity right now in blockchain. I think honestly, right now is a major sweet spot to start learning the skills now because they're in such high demand. I mean, I say that like without any hype. Like I personally hire blockchain developers. Okay, it's hard for me to hire good blockchain developers to work with. Okay, because they're just working on other stuff and people are throwing them all kinds of money. Okay, seriously, it's really hard. So like a lot of times I'm having to hire people who don't know blockchain and then literally just train them to learn it so they can accomplish the things that I need them to do. So, I think that problem's still going to be around for a while because the space is rapidly evolving. Okay, it's going up. It's just expanding like crazy. I think it's still going to expand like crazy, even through a bear market. Okay, blockchain was still going nuts in terms of technology. Even through the bear market, we saw DeFi, explode during the bear market. A lot of innovation actually happened during the bear market. So we're going to need developers. That's one of the reasons I think that doing blockchain as a career is such a great thing for a lot of people who are trying to fix that cash flow problem. Really build long-term sustainable income. So for that reason, like I wouldn't wait necessarily. I think the technology for blockchain is plenty mature to start building a career on it now. It's sort of de-risked in a lot of cases. Like, I mean, I personally took a risk jumping in the blockchain space in 2017, like a career risk. It's sort of like, it was a lot riskier back then, but I'm really glad that I did, okay, as a risk reward scenario. Now it's less risky, to tell you the truth. I mean, sure, the prices could fall at any time, but it's a Pandora's box situation. Like the technology is Pandora. It's been let out of the box. There's no going back in. Like the crazy stuff that's happened with DeFi in the past year, the crazy stuff people have been able to do with Solidity smart contracts, none of that's going away. It's not going anywhere. So, me personally, what would I do? I would focus on blockchain now and not wait for it later. I think because you're going down in the risk reward category. It's sort of like if you were to jump into the web development space now, like web development's more of a commodity than it is like a specialty. There's plenty of web developers you can find to just build a web app, right? There's not that many blockchain developers, good ones that you can just hire to build blockchain apps. So, I mean, in 10 years, like there might be, 10 years we might have that problem where there's lots of blockchain developers and you can just sort of like take one off the shelf. But now there's definitely not. I can tell you from experience as someone who's been a blockchain developer that other people hire a lot, and then as someone who hires other blockchain developers to work with me, it's a really big problem. So that being said, I'm not telling you like drop out of college or anything. I mean, if you want to do that, that's totally your prerogative. I'm not telling you not to do that either. I'm not going to make your life decisions for you because to me, that's as risky as giving financial advice. There's lots of factors you have to decide what's right for you. But I can tell you from my personal opinion, if I was considering, laser focusing on blockchain, I wouldn't wait. Somebody says BTC about to melt faces. I hope so. That'd be great. I'd love to be wrong and let the markets go up. All right, everybody. That's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. That really helps these videos out because YouTube algorithm is totally based on engagement. So smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out too. If you're fascinated with this technology, you want to get your hands dirty with it, how can you get started today? You go to my YouTube homepage. You can find any of my free courses there, like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. If you like those, you want to take the next step, or hey, you want to take a massive shortcut entirely, I can show you how to become a blockchain master step-by-step from start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. All right, you don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding background become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. And until next time, thanks for watching Dapp